Hi everyone, I'm Laura. Welcome back to my channel, The Woken Mind. I'm here today with an update on what's going on with masculine and feminine energy as we move into this full moon in Leo. And we've got the full moon in Leo coming up, but we also had a major shift with Pluto re-entering into Aquarius, which it has not done since, I wrote it down, 1778. So we're talking about something that none of us have seen in our lives. And this is going to bring about some major changes. Now, I think it's important to note that Pluto was in Aquarius from 1778 to 1798, and that was during both the American and French Revolutions. But the American Revolution actually happened a little bit before Pluto actually went into Aquarius. And I think that's important for us to note here because those of us that incarnated at this time, we knew that this new age was coming about, right? We volunteered for this. And it's not like this hard cutoff where like now Pluto is in Aquarius, so we're going to see everything shift. Just like how in 1778, the American Revolution started a little bit before, it started in 1765. So it started a little bit before Pluto entered into Aquarius. We're going to see that now, right? We already have seen the breakdown of some systems and structures. We've already had some massive changes, especially with the worldwide pandemic, right? And a lot of people who are older souls, who are the way showers, who incarnated specifically to help with this shift in human evolution, Earth's evolution, you've been feeling this awakening for a long time. You know, for some of you, 10, 15, even longer years. And so it's not to say that now, because Pluto is in Aquarius, that everything is going to be different. But what we're going to see now is that, you know, the planets have aligned in a way that is going to continuously support this breakdown and shift. And it's really a simultaneous breakdown and rebuild. So both are occurring at the same time. And that's the energy that's coming up for this full moon in Leo. And I'll get into that a little bit more. What I do want to say is that, you know, those of us that are way showers, we are going to be the ones leading the way with the rebuild. And specifically, it's going to be feminine energy that leads with the rebuild at first. And, you know, you may say, well, feminine energy, that's not really the building energy, but feminine energy is the visionary, and that's what we need right now. So the feminine really is actually holding space for this shift in evolution, while the masculine is still caught in these old patterns and breaking those down. And so you may see that with your own masculine and feminine energy, where you have all of these creative ideas, you have a lot of motivation to build this new life for yourself, but then your masculine energy may still be dragging in a sense, right? It may still be stuck in its obligations. And one really, tangible description of that would be, you know, let's say you're building a new business, right? And you have to work on the side on that new business because you still need to make a living at your 9 to 5. That would be the masculine still stuck in the old systems and structures. For some of you, you may be playing this out with a counterpart where you are evolving rapidly and you've awakened and you're connected to a soul connection where there is a masculine counterpart who isn't really fully awake yet and is still really trapped in that 3D matrix reality that really is actually just the old age. And so, you know, with Pluto entering Aquarius, it's going to be there all the way up until September 1st. And then September 1st to November 19th, we're going to retrograde back into Capricorn, Pluto is, for just a little bit, right? And that is going to allow for like a final sweep. And it's really interesting because the elections here in the US are going to be happening at that time, and that can go a couple different ways. But in general, the masculine has up until September 1st before that big final sweep of karma comes through. Specifically for those that are working on grounding divine masculine energy or divine feminine energy. That sweep is going to clear out a lot of those old karmic cycles once and for all. But again, like I said, I just want to note, again, it's not like these really hard cutoffs. Again, when the planets are aligned in certain ways, they support this energy, but everybody has free will. So you can cling as long as you want to the old earth if you really truly want to do that, but it's going to be increasingly difficult to maintain that old earth energy. And I spoke about this at the end of year recap of masculine and feminine energy. If you haven't seen that video, it's a great one to watch. In that, I talk about that old earth Capricorn energy and how it's all about like really like rigid systems, gaining material success, so wealth, power, all that pride and ego type of energy. And so anybody that's like really clinging to that and really trying to create from that space is going to find it really hard. Or if you're in a relationship that is based off of all of this kind of like material world success, and there's no like inner meaning behind it, spiritual or emotional, it's just, again, like I said in that video, two egos that fell in love. Those types of relationships and just those energies in general are going to be so hard to maintain, especially right now with Pluto being in Aquarius. And so with this full moon in Leo, there's a lot of ego energy coming in. And, you know, Leo gets kind of a bad reputation, right? I'm a Leo sun, and it's definitely something that I've struggled with most of my life, from going from, you know, completely overboard, needing to be the star of the show, to, you know, not wanting to be in that energy and hiding from that, and then fully claiming that in a healthy way. I think in general, that's what we're going to be seeing with the collective right now, is where this kind of struggle between the ego, the pride of the ego, and then the healthy ego, because there is such thing as a healthy ego, and we're going to get into that. And so with masculine energy, as I said, masculine energy is really part of that breakdown still right now. Ideally, we want the masculine aligned with the feminine so that they can build together in the new earth. But in general, we're seeing masculine energy is really lagging because masculine energy is the protector and the provider. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of ways to make money in this new earth energy yet. It's almost like, you know, all this, if you look at like, just like in a physical sense, like if all the circulation of the currency is stuck in this like kind of old bubble and cycling through there, and there's only like a few thousand souls in this new bubble, there's just not enough circulation there. And so all of the money is here. So a lot of that masculine energy has to be trapped there because it has no other way to survive. And masculine energy is what allows us to survive on the physical, in the material world plane. And so masculine energy is going to have to learn how to follow the lead of the soul. And that's what's really coming in with this like kind of healthy full moon Leo energy. If we can align with that healthy full moon Leo energy, that's when the soul is the one that's leading the way and is guiding the intentions behind our actions. And the ego is just following that pursuit. And you know, really in that old earth, those old earth structures, we didn't see that. What we saw is that the masculine expected the feminine to serve him. And so, in other words, the ego expected the soul to be of service to its own selfish needs. And in relationships between the masculine and feminine collective, we can see that as well, where for the most part, the masculine, especially if it's in its wounded or distorted expression, has not been either able to see the feminine, recognize the divine feminine, or has not had the strength to actually honor and support the divine feminine. And so it's like, again, if we look at those two bubbles, it's like the divine feminine is in this bubble here, and there's like very little money or circulation of money going on here, right? And she's just kind of like holding the space in this energy, and this energetic presence in this new age. And then the old world masculine is here, and he's like not even able to see that she's over there. And even if he does see her, how is he going to help her or support her? Especially like when all his stuff is over here. And so with this full moon in Leo, what's happening is probably for a lot of people that are really clinging to that old world, that are really feeling like that's where they identify, that's where they're, that's where like they're like, that's where all my things are. That's where my title is. That's my identity in that old world. How can I step into this new world where nobody knows who I am, and I would have to completely give up on all the things that I've acquired here, or the title, or whatever it is, right? What's going to happen is for those of us that are in our masculine energy, or masculines in general, that are really clinging to that old earth identity, is we're going to see a lot of like tower moments and breakdowns of the ego. Because the truth is that we, no matter whether we like it or not, we are transitioning into the age of Aquarius. And Pluto is really supporting that breakdown right now. So it's going to be really, really hard to stay in this distorted ego that does not want to honor the divine feminine, doesn't want to see her worth, doesn't want to accept that it's time to follow the feminine's lead. And this is not to say that, it's like the feminine is on this pedestal and the masculine is beneath her. Absolutely not. This is not what we want to create, right? We don't want to co-create an imbalance where the feminine is put on a pedestal and worshipped. What we want, though, is we want the ego to pay attention to the soul and understand that there is guidance coming in. There is information and wisdom that comes from beyond this physical space, beyond the mind, that is going to help lead you into creating, building relationships, systems, and structures in this new earth energy. And you cannot allow pride and greed and materialism to lead your way into the new earth. It's just impossible. And so again, with this full moon coming, there's going to continuously be these massive breakdowns for anyone that is being called to build in the new earth and support the divine feminine, but their masculine energy refuses to listen to the call. And I would say that, for wounded masculine energy, it's more of like being stagnant in the physical, like not moving forward, not making the actual changes to like your day-to-day life, not actually like moving if you need to physically move, not leaving a relationship. That would be very much like wounded masculine energy. Now, there's also wounded feminine energy that's like stuck in this old bubble over here of the old earth. And that wounded feminine energy is stuck in the resentment of like the older structures, resentment towards the masculine. I talked about this in the last video, how important it is to get to this place of forgiveness with your feminine energy, because otherwise it's like you have like a weight tied to your emotional body and you're stuck in the old earth if your feminine energy hasn't done the forgiveness work that's necessary. And so you don't really want to be stuck with the distorted and the wounded masculine in this old earth bubble. Yeah, of course, there's things still there, but those things are not going to be of value for much longer as we continue to hold space in this new earth realm. And so, for each of us, I think it's really important to ask ourselves at this time, am I making choices that are soul aligned? Are the choices that I'm making honoring my emotional body, and are they in alignment with my soul, or are they because I'm in survival mode and trying to cling to the new earth? Because although logically I believe that the survival mode still kind of makes sense to a lot of people, because we again are still kind of stuck in these two worlds, and the one world, the old world, is the one that has all of the material things and still kind of makes logical sense, it's going to make less and less sense, actually, as we go deeper and deeper into Pluto being in Aquarius. It makes sense for people to be in the brain and in the mind and stuck there. But the truth is that the only way forward is to drop into the heart space and to the emotional body. And so allowing the heart to lead is what's going to actually allow for success in the new earth. And so we have to get to this place with our feminine energy where we begin to really trust her. And so whether you're a masculine who's working with a feminine counterpart and you've cannot trust her because you don't believe in what she's talking about, you're clinging to all the older structures, you're clinging to old relationships, belief systems, or if you are just looking at this at your internally with your own masculine and feminine energies, and your soul is pulling you in a certain direction and it's telling you, just trust in me. I know that there's not a solid plan here yet, but just start walking the path and allow it to unfold as it needs to. Either you're playing it out in that relationship structure, you're playing it out within yourself, but in both of those situations, you need to learn to trust your intuition. You need to learn to trust the feminine. Again, she doesn't have a lot to offer in the physical realm, but trusting in her is the only way to get into this new earth. And we will then be able to build with masculine energy in the new earth, but first we have to trust our intuitions. And so we kind of have to just go with the flow, and we have to believe that this is gonna all come to fruition. It's almost like if there's a city that is going to burn down, right? And it's coming, and but everything is still pretty much functioning, maybe not ideally. Maybe there's a lot of bumps, and there's a lot of premonition from those that are connected to their intuition saying I just don't feel like this city's gonna make it. And then what happens then is a few people start moving over to the new city, and the new city has nothing, and so you have to kind of just completely rebuild. And the people that are in the old city look over there and they're like, I don't think I want to leave here, because there's nothing over there. And that's pretty much where we all are. And the divine feminine is over here beckoning us and calling us over, and our logical minds and our materialistic minds and our egos are getting in the way and saying, oh no, there's nothing for me over there. A lot of this actually is self-worth related too, because if we look at that, Leo energy, Leo can be very powerful, can be very self-confident and secure. But when Leo is in its distortion, it looks for validation outside of itself, and it feels insecure, and it tries to perform for love, tries to manipulate to get its emotional needs met. And so we want to get to this place where we're actually really feeling that we are secure in ourselves, and we trust our soul to lead us and guide us. And we are in this healthy soul-led ego energy instead of the ego dismissing the soul. And the way that would look in a relationship is if there's two counterparts in the old earth, and the feminine says to the masculine, we've got to hit the road and go to this new sphere over here, this new earth area, because that is where we're going to actually be able to build a solid foundation. And the masculine is here clinging to an old foundation and structure. Then what's going to happen, right, is that, that would be the ego leading if the ego dismisses the feminine's need and desire to move to the new earth. And that's old, distorted ego energy. And with this full moon, we really want to get into this energy where the heart and the soul and the feminine are leading the way. So in general, I would say that this time is for those of us that can really connect to that heart space where we've done the forgiveness work, where we feel that we are ready to just take the leap into to this new earth energy and allow ourselves to be guided by our souls. I feel that this time is going to be exciting. I feel that this time is, especially again with this Pluto energy, it's going to feel like I said last week, the sky's the limit. And I think one of you commented, the sky's no limit, right? It's going to feel like unlimited possibilities. Your creative energy is going to come through very strong. You're going to feel like you could just do anything if you really tap into your healthy feminine energy. Again, if you're stuck in your wounded energy, your wounded feminine energy, resentment towards the masculine, it's going to hold you back from really getting into that creative space. Now, with the masculine energy, I think that no matter what, this is going to be a heavy time because it's like the ego is being reprogrammed and it's having to relearn how to function. So ideally, if you know how to move between your two energies, it might be a really good time over these next 2 weeks to just kind of stay more into that feminine energy. Of course, you need to get things done, right? Like we're going to have to do real world things, right? And a lot of those things are going to require us to go into our old earth, heavy, distorted, masculine-led, ego-led energy. But the more that you could do things that are for your soul, the lighter you're going to feel energetically, right? So let's say you have to, I don't know, taxes. It might be a little early for taxes for those of us here in the US, but hey, maybe you are. Maybe you're starting your taxes now, right? So maybe you have to do that, right? Then try to find something that is more new earth, divine feminine energy inspired to do also. And so maybe that is for you an artistic expression. Maybe that is planning a hike or something like that. So again, try to just balance between the heavy density of the old earth obligations and the light, soul-inspired creative energy of the new earth. Again, my advice here for those that are really in their masculine energy heavily and are not even really truly believing that there's a transition going on or even wanting to accept it. The truth is that right now is a time to really just sit in that pain of the death process of the old ego, of the death process of the distorted masculine, because it's here whether you like it or not, right? Whether we want to embrace this transition or not, the distorted ego is really not coming into the new earth. And so again, it's going to hit wall after wall. It's going to have a tough time. And the only way to move out of that distorted ego, for those of us that are clinging to distorted masculine energy or wounded masculine energy, is to, again, just face the fact that the old earth is dying and that the old ways of gaining power are no longer going to suffice. So I hope that that was helpful for you. I'm sending you guys lots of love. Take care.